Title: The Doll on the Bench. My name is Thomas, I'm 79 years old, and the story I'm about to tell happened to me 40 years ago. I've been the caretaker of the cemetery in the town of Pine Hill for almost 50 years now. My house is just behind the grounds. I've never been afraid to live here. On the contrary, it's the place where I find the most peace and quiet. But that doesn't mean strange things haven't happened. I've heard footsteps, whispers, and even seen objects move on their own. None of that ever scared me. In fact, I got used to it. But there's one event that marked me deeply, and I'll never forget it. That's the story I want to share with you now. I buried a 7-year-old girl named Emily. Her death shook the whole town. She had died of pneumonia. Her family was devastated, especially her mother. I remember that after I had sealed the grave, her mother stayed there for hours, staring at the photo on the headstone. She held a doll tightly in her arms the whole time. Eventually, I had to go to her because it was time to close the cemetery gates. I approached quietly, not wanting to intrude. As I got closer, I heard her whisper, "Don't worry, sweetheart. Mommy will be with you soon." When I reached her, I gently told her the cemetery was closing. She nodded, understanding. Then she noticed the doll in her hands and said, "Oh my God. I didn't even realize I was still holding this. My daughter loved this doll. Please give it to a child who needs it." She handed me the doll and walked away, her face carrying the deepest sadness I'd ever seen. I brought the doll home and thought about honoring the mother's request. But the next morning, something strange happened. The doll was no longer inside my house. During my early rounds at the cemetery, I found it sitting on a bench. Not just any bench, but the one closest to Emily's grave. I was sure I had left it inside. I brought the doll back home. But the next morning, it happened again. Same bench, same doll. I was getting seriously unsettled. The following night, I decided to stay awake and see what was going on. I left the doll in the living room and kept my bedroom door half open so I could watch. Around 3 a.m., I saw a glow outside my window, like someone walking through the cemetery with a flashlight. I crept to the window, and what I saw, I will never forget. I saw Emily, not in flesh and bone, but as a glowing apparition. Her skin, eyes, and hair were pure white. She wore the same dress she'd been buried in. My heart raced. I was frozen, watching. She walked slowly toward my house, passed through the living room wall, picked up the doll, and left. I rushed to the front window and saw her sitting quietly on the same bench again, holding her doll. After witnessing that, something in me calmed. I no longer saw Emily as something frightening, but more like an angel. I gathered my courage and went outside. As I got closer, I asked, "Emily, why are you still here? Why haven't you moved on?" Still cradling her doll, she looked at me with glowing white eyes and replied, "I'm waiting for my mommy. She said she'd be here soon." A chill ran through my entire body. I couldn't speak. I simply turned around and walked back inside. From that night on, I didn't try to stay up again, but I continued the routine of finding the doll on the bench every morning and bringing it back in. I didn't have the heart to give it away. Not yet. 11 years passed. Then Emily's mother died. I handled her burial too. That night I stayed alert, wondering if I'd find the doll on the bench again. But I didn't. Not that night. Not in the weeks that followed. The doll never moved again. I believe her mother finally arrived, and they went somewhere better, together. After that, I finally gave the doll away, fulfilling the wish of a grieving mother, and closing a quiet, haunting chapter of my life.